city of surf.
Paris 2024 will be holding the surfing competition in French Polynesia in the area of Teahupo'o, Tahiti. This is a small town known for its intense waves that Olympic surfers are challenged to surf on. The surfing competition will take place from July 27th to August 5th. Surfing was first introduced to the Olympic Games in Tokyo 2020, making this the second time that surfing has been judged on the Olympic level and organized by the Olympic Committee. They oversee the setup of judging tower and water, establishing housing, transportation, equipment on the island, and providing resources for spectators. Surfing uses short boards as they achieve more tricks and higher speeds to judge.
There are a series of implications considering surfing will occur on the small island of Tahiti, nearly 16,000 nautical kilometers from France. Hosting the Olympic Games requires the construction of temporary sites for each sport to take place. The wooden tower temporarily placed in the ocean for the World Surf League was ruled insufficient to support how large the Olympic on-site panel will be. Constructing a new tower was the only option since repairing the wooden one would harm the coral reef that has grown on the formation. So, a 14-ton aluminum tower was originally proposed, as seen in the image. Local backlash claimed this would harm coral reefs in the area, especially considering a barge transferring the tower's material already broke a piece of coral reef off. See the image. The Olympic Committee relaxed their control and mitigated to local environmental regulations. One strategy they used was decreasing the tower's weight to 9 tons and shrink by 25% in size. This would lessen how much coral is killed. Another idea is to keep the wooden tower. Destruction of coral is extremely harmful because of the mycotoxins that grow on dead coral and kill fish living around it. Coral is also a producer on the bottom of the food chain and supplies energy in the form of algae and phytoplankton to higher trophic levels. As coral reefs die, there is less energy to pass on to higher trophic levels and species. Shelter provided to species by coral reefs is also decreased. Generally, as coral reefs are destroyed, it causes other species to eventually diminish, and there's a loss in biodiversity. The breakage of coral is also not great for surfing because it changes the patterns of waves, since waves are created on how water clashes with corals. On a positive note, the construction of buildings and infrastructure, such as pedestrian bridges, will remain in the community after the Olympics leave. Without the Olympics, funding for this infrastructure would not have been possible.
This is a C-section of a surfboard used in the Olympics. The polyurethane core keeps the surfboard afloat due to the polyurethane foam that's in the center. The foam has a large oxygen content. This is what makes surfboards as light as they are, yet still very buoyant. The stringer in the middle helps keep the balance of the surfboard and makes its movements more predictable. This helps the rider control their board. The resin and fiberglass outer shell impact the flexibility, performance, and overall strength of the surfboard. This can be changed depending on how you combine them and in what percentages. They also help prevent the polyurethane coming in contact with water so it doesn't start absorbing it and become less buoyant. These materials allow for the surfboard to be effective in keeping a person above the water, be able to have full control, and go extremely fast.
So a huge part of surfing. Although not everywhere people surf is sunny, the top 5 most popular locations in the world have an average UV of 10. UV is the electromagnetic radiation, like wavelength. UV light damages our skin. It penetrates our skin cells and can lead to mutations in our DNA and skin cancer. A UV of 10 is very high, which means you need a lot of protection. To take extra precautions, people use and surfers use sunscreen, but how does sunscreen work on a chemical level? We know it protects us from UV rays, but how? Sunscreen either reflects the sun away from us, if it's a physical compound, or it uses an organic compound that catalyzes a chemical reaction when exposed to the sun. The reaction transforms the UV rays into heat, which then releases to our skin, which doesn't damage it. While physical UV blocks both UVA and UVB, chemical UV only blocks one or the other. A way to avoid this is there's 2 different chemicals that to have both, either oxybenzone or oxycrylene. They allow us to both block UVA and UVB, meaning it will allow the surfers to have greatest protection on their skin.
One of the fastest ways to lose in surfing is to fall off your board and go careening through the waves. With massive waves and immense pressure, one would think this has happened at some point, but in the short history of Olympic surfing, Not a single athlete has fallen off their board. This is because they have spent many hours training their muscles to react while moving at 70 plus kilometers an hour. The bodily system that allows them to balance as well is called the vestibular system, or the balance system. The vestibular system is a subsection of the nervous system that is responsible for informing the brain of the position of the head and its movement. It primarily uses semicircular canals in the inner ear to detect this movement and understand which way the body is leaning. It then tells the brain this information using glutamate as the primary excitatory neurotransmitter, and the brain tells the muscles how to flex and move in order to keep the surfer upright and moving forward.
In conclusion, we believe that the Olympics and the Olympic Committee should better look into the science behind surfing to better their impact on the environment, their impact on the surfers, and to just better understand the biology behind surfing so we can be more accurate in judging and just have a better time at the Olympics.